Hey guys, here's the gear for today. I just did a video where I described the mail call that I recently got. I waited to go check my post office box for quite a while, and so I got a couple really cool packages. One of them contained this Stirling razor. Looking forward to it. It's probably too aggressive for me, but I just had to pick it up. I bought, it had about 9 different razors in this package, and it was a great deal if I work hard and sell them individually, the ones that I don't like. And so it's a great way to try this nice razor. I'm going to be putting one of my favorite blades in it, the Gillette Silver Blue. It's only got one use on it, looks like. We'll be using Barrister and Mann Soft Heart Sandalwood as the soap. And in that mail call as well was this That Darn Rob Fanchurian brush. Beautiful. I like the handle, and it looks like we have a nice long loft on the brush. I had it soaking for about 20 minutes or so. Get it back in there. So I'll bet he's going to end up to be a nice brush. Okay, in with that mail call, I also got this. I've been talking about it on my channel and that it was on order. We have 40 cc's of water. This is a jigger that has measurements, it has graduations, and so by filling it up to 40 right before the shave, I'll be able to just pour in water as needed, and at the end of the shave, I can look and see what's left, do some math, and know how much water I used during the shave to be able to tell you guys in case anybody's trying to duplicate the lather or have a good idea about the complexity or the process in case somebody's way off base. Often people do that with my shaves. Okay, 24 hours of growth, normal shave today, and I am expecting this razor to be very harsh. Hopefully it's a tolerable kind of harshness. I can't remember the name. Was it Austin? That was the name of this handle. I really should have done my homework and looked it up for sure. There are 2 base plates made for this razor. One is the super high aggressive, and I definitely know I don't want that one. The information that Rod said about this base plate sounds like it's probably too aggressive for me as well. But I love the fact that Stirling worked hard to get this a complete razor made in the United States only, and even to the point of delaying things for a year while he found a manufacturer who would do it right. And so I just wanted to put a video out there. There are definitely going to be plenty of videos on this razor with guys who like aggressive razors, and so they're going to say how smooth it is, things like that. I am a different story. I like mild razors, mid-range razors, but nothing past that in general. Overhang on this one is quite a bit. We are not supporting the bottom of the blade close to the edge at all. Matter of fact, the top of the blade is only supported, what is that, maybe 4 millimeters, something like that. And then the bottom looks more like 7 or something like that. So it seems like I could end up with quite a bit of a scrapey feeling. We'll see. If you want to look at the inner workings of the razor, please check out that mail call video. I will do some studying, and I will produce another video that has this in more detail as well. I will definitely do that because I want to compare this properly and fairly against other razors that are similar in purpose, similar in price point, and see how he stacks up against those. And I tell you, when I do that comparison, it'll be nice to have this shave under my belt to be able to speak to that with personal experience. All right, so the razor came. I assume that the person I bought this razor from received it in this really cool box that has Stirling's logo, and then here's the travel case for it. A really classy, nice piece with a zipper and the razor sticks through the elastic, and the handle, bottom of the handle, is down here, and then this pocket over here is for your tuck of blades, and you still end up with quite a bit of room elsewhere in the compartment here for things like samples, or maybe a to-go vial of your favorite cologne or something like that. Now let's get my face wet. And I have my lather bowl. I'll be using that. How much should I load for? Kind of my standard 30 seconds. Such a true to life, authentic sandalwood scent. Very, very nice. This brush holds a good bit of water. I'm going to shake a lot of that out. When I see a two-band brush with a big old wide dark area right here, and then I see that light color, this much of that light color coming through right near the handle, I know that that's got a loft that might be around where I like it. Some of them are set deeper than what you see here, and they often will have more backbone. All right, now I also don't know yet. It feels like these kind of have some jelly tips, so we'll see to what extent they are. All right, yeah, because of jelly tips, let's just do a 30-second load. I'll start at the 35 mark, so we'll go to the 05 mark on the next minute. I may have shaken a lot of water out such that I'm not getting some suds right away, but I bet I am picking up enough soap. Just a few more seconds now. And there we go. That's a 30-second load. And we'll see if that's going to be enough. Man, this sandalwood. And this is the kind of original Soft Hearts base. He has come out with a new Soft Heart that has the lye ratio is reformatted, redone, and he was able to achieve a much more firm soap that will let the soap last for a nice long time for folks. Rinsing off the threads there. Keep it clean. Keep it clear. Oh man, I think that this autumn ash is going to go really well with this sandalwood scent after the shave. All right. I really like this handle with kind of a cherry mahogany type look to it, and then the black right up there. And then I can kind of add water as needed. Now, the weakness of this jigger method is that I can't add water as easily if I want to add just a drop at a time. I believe one of you viewers posted that I could keep the syringe handy and use the syringe to pull from the jigger and be able to do small drops if I wanted, kind of to have a hybrid, but that may be too much complication for what I like to try to keep a fairly natural event of the shave here. I'm not feeling too much backbone from the brush at this point, so I'm very encouraged. I don't think I picked up too much soap, so I may want to go back and try to to gather up some more. There's a couple things you can do about that. If I take these kind of dry bristles back to the puck, it may not pick up as much as I want. So what I can do, add a little bit of water, and then I kind of added too much water there, so I'm having to be careful with the stirring. And I think I'm going to try to mix here for about 10 seconds or so. There we go. And yeah, I don't really have any more freestanding water there, so that looks good. That means that I poured the one drop that was in there back into the bowl here, so I'm still kind of able to track my water properly. So now let's give this a good mix. The handle is a little bit short, however, like Samhain handles, it's at just the right angle. My fingertips are not riding too much on a, can you see the ridge right there? Yeah, it's not uncomfortable on that ridge. So this might be just it's clearly a beautiful handle, but it might also be a ergonomic one as well. And that's really kind of more important for me. Yeah, this looks better. And now that we've added more soap, we can feel free here to add more water. And I'm sure that if I want to add just a small amount of water, I'll gradually get used to pouring that with more care. We'll see how it works. They were so cheap, I bought a few of them. One to have here, one to have at my other place, and one to have in my travel bag. Oh yeah, look at that lather. That's terrific. Add a touch more. I don't believe that this jigger method is going to offer me quite the precision of telling people, 3 1/3 teaspoons. However, since I think that level of precision might be unnecessary, it could even be misleading, because an extra turn in the soap could mean that that you're not able to use that same amount of water, And so an approximation that's, somewhat close is probably better anyway, with just and it would imply that knowledge that you need to be flexible and know that it's just a ballpark. This lather is looking great. And I am glad that I added that water. I'm a little encouraged, and so I might add a little bit more there. And I think we will have this lather here be what we use for the face massacre of late April 2021. With an aggressive razor. And definitely, if you're curious about this razor, get online and read what Rod put on the website about this razor. He mentioned some different Gillette adjustable settings, maybe charcoal goods plates, maybe carved plates, to be able to help you understand how aggressive the razor is. And this lather just looks tremendous. I get my face wet again. All right, guys, here we go. So many parts of this shave I'm looking forward to. The feeling of this brush on my face is one of them. This is very, very soft, and the lather is making it even better. at this loft, I'm not feeling a whole lot of backbone, but it looks like it's got enough to where it's pointing the bristles at me, so that's really good. Easy, very easy splay on this one. I think future instances of the Fanchurian knot may have been a little tighter, more backbone, and so this one fortuitously might have come to my possession and been a really good match where more current versions might not. So I'm really happy. I see the potential for that. And yeah, we definitely could be putting some more water in our lather. Let's see how the jigger is at doing that. I have to be careful not to knock over or spill out of the jigger. Man, this brush just feels great. The individual I bought it from said that he thought it was a version 1 perhaps. So if he said that, then maybe it's the version 1. And I guess if it's not, then maybe a version 2, right? This handle is working out very well too. All right. Well, here we go, folks. So just for the purposes of clarification, because I think that is necessary with so many people, when you say that such and such a razor is smooth for you, I think for most other people who don't know you, you need to provide some frame of reference. I've heard so many people take aggressive razors and talk about how smooth they are, and I've used that same razor and had it be aggressive and bitey, the opposite of smooth, scrapey, and have it just give me irritation and cuts. And so that's for those people with iron skin who like the aggressive razors. They need to provide that context. My context is I can shave with a vintage Gillette adjustable at like a 6, perhaps a 5. But and then obviously I can go higher if the blade has a lot of uses on it. But I like to stick around like the 3 area because I value comfort more than closeness. And I usually get a close enough shave when I do that. With the carve, I'm able to go all the way up to D with the solid bar before the E starts being nasty to me. The D is very pleasant, but the line between the D and the E makes him turn into Mr. Hyde, and D and below is Dr. Jekyll. You know, it's a very hard cutoff right there for my face. D is wonderful, just fine, no problem. E, can't use it one time. I find the dart a little bit too aggressive for me, and so I have to, with it, I bring in the handle closer to my face, increasing the blade angle, and that governs it and reduces the aggression for me. The Charcoal Goods level 1 and level 2, in the generation 1 head, I had to open up the handle angle to have a lower blade angle, and that helped it to be more tolerable, but it was still too aggressive for me in general, so I did sell that one. Rockwell, I like the 2 or the 3 settings for the most part. Often I'd go with the 2 just for the pure comfort. I could go up to 4 if I wanted to, but I usually did 2 or 3. So that gives you my frame of reference. And so if that's close to what you might be experiencing, then our feelings toward this razor may be similar. Blackbird, too aggressive for me, had to sell it. All right, guys, here we go. We're going to go for the obvious grip, holding it down here. I'm not going to do my little test grip. I'm going to do just the obvious one here, and we are going to, let's start by riding the cap. See how that goes. I think it's a pretty safe bet. And focusing on light pressure, very light, just enough to keep the razor head on my skin. Not too bad. I do feel the cutting, and it may be a head that I can potentially see it building up in aggression, but for right now, it does not feel too aggressive. With razors that potentially could be aggressive for you, it becomes more important to have your skin not be wrinkly. So if you need to do some stretching of your skin, make sure you do that. And this is that prime area, and so I'm going to anchor my skin here, chin up and away. Take my time. I am pleasantly surprised. I am not getting beat up by this razor. We'll take the goatee lather. You know, I have had a few razors that were so efficient, and this may be in that category, that I didn't want to use it more than 2 passes because it cut me so closely and properly that there just wasn't anything to cut by the 3rd pass. And in a sense, I don't like that because I like 3 passes. I don't need to make it shorter. I like lathering up and enjoying the lather for 3 passes. After that first pass, I rinsed with cool water, and I did feel a couple of spots over somewhere that are probably going to be a little tender. Let's proceed on. Seems like I got the lather mix pretty well done this time. It did not feel too dry. I had excellent glide with the razor, and it has a nice creamy texture. So I think I nailed that one this time. Get the water out of my goatee so it doesn't wet my lather down too much. Oh, sandalwood. Man. Yeah, see, I've got that whole bowl full of lather. What am I going to do if I only have 2 passes? I can't possibly make less lather. Cross grain now. Also, I'm reporting in that as I rinsed after that first pass, I did not feel a super smooth face. Definitely some stubble left over. In a way, I'm comforted by that. Also, of course, the silver blue, while it may work well for me in many razors, the vast majority of razors, with this high aggression razor, maybe not. So if this goes poorly, I should definitely try other blades in it. Not just assume that it's too aggressive for me. Keeping that blade angle small, opening up the handle angle. I definitely feel the blade edge. And sometimes because of that blade edge feel and the threat of irritating my skin, I don't get as close of a shave because I'm going to be too careful with it. I wonder how many YouTube shavers out there like mild razors like me and might be evaluating this razor. That'll be interesting to see. I may be the one mild voice in the universe telling people how this razor was for them. And this area here is where I'm going to get some tenderness if I do. And I kind of think I will. Okay, I'm not really sensing any buildup of irritation or tenderness to very much of an extent, so that's encouraging. So I am going to get a good rinse and take a look and a feel of what's left. Okay, after checking everything out, after 2 passes, I do have a shave that does rival many shaves with a 3-pass shave with less aggressive razors. And so I could definitely walk out at this point and not be shaggy. I got a pretty good closeness cut right here. A little bit, some tips because I was just being a little tentative. I definitely feel a little bit of tenderness, but it's something that a balm would probably take care of in about 10 minutes. But it's still a little bit tenuous, and so I mean, it's a feeling that I don't enjoy having during a shave. And so I may try out some more blades and just see. But we'll see if we can get rid of that with either a change in technique or maybe an older blade or just a different blade. But usually when a razor is this aggressive toward me, even though I'm not feeling it in a big way, I do move it along to somebody else because life's just too short. I value that comfort more. Okay, so let us. So the brush, wonderful. I am really enjoying. I now know that the performance and the loft are in my wheelhouse, just like the aesthetics are of the pretty handle. Okay, we're going to cross grain again. Holding it by the handle at the end doesn't really seem to be too much of a problem, and it is getting wet, and I have no problem maintaining a good, solid, secure grip. Now, here we go. What you see in white is an area that potentially can really get worked up with some razor rash. I usually am able to mitigate it over here by not having my razor at the same parallel with my fat creases right there. So I tweak my razor to one side, and then I gently am able to move over those valleys, often without causing a problem. And so that's how I tackle that area. Now when I get over here, the hair grain starts to change, and so that same strategy is not quite as effective. It is effective over here on this side, and so I will do that. And then right here is where, with the grain, would be like this. I have done 2 passes where I came at it cross grain like this, but now on the 3rd pass I'll switch cross grain from the other direction and focus on a light touch, and this is kind of stirring up, picking up those hairs, and so it's not as pleasant as mild razors are. With milder razors, I can actually go against the grain at this point. Okay. All right. I am sure I've got a wonderfully close shave. Let's check it out. On my cheeks, I have pretty much almost a baby butt smooth, just with the grain and then cross grains. Excellent. In my trouble spot, there are a few hairs that have some length on them, and it's a patchy kind of look. And I get that on a regular basis with aggressive razors because I'm just having to be so careful not to give myself irritation that I end up having some areas where it just doesn't cut consistently. Whereas a razor that is less aggressive, I'm able to go over that area multiple times without that threat. And so that's something that kind of backfires with aggressive razors. Sometimes a little bit of aggression is fine, and it's a trade-off because it may feel just a little aggressive, but then I end up with a wonderful close shave. In this case, it felt like it could be a good bit aggressive, and I ended up with a kind of a patchy result. However, that is a nitpicky kind of analysis because even what I have now, I don't have too much redness and I don't have any weepers or anything like that. But this is definitely a good quality shave that just about any job out there wouldn't have a problem with at all. So with the sandalwood going on, I really do feel like the autumn ash might be good. Now, what are the notes in the Samhain? Oh, pumpkin, sandalwood, bourbon, and tobacco. Let's do the Samhain. And I'll share an interesting story because I don't have too many times where I've met the vendors. And I met Stephen and Courtney in 2019 at a shaving meetup in Greensboro, and it was such a nice time to meet them and talk. And they have a name of Witchcrafts, and the themes and stuff that they have is Witchcrafts, but they're not witches. I asked them, that is important to me. I'm a moral person. I'm a spiritual person. I'm Christian, and that is a interest and a theme in decor only is their kind of thing, and so I don't mind using their products and supporting them because it's they don't consider it as serious like I do. It's not a serious spiritual thing to them. It's a kind of an interest and that sort of thing. But it was wonderful to talk to Stephen. And the interesting story about the Samhain, I walked up to him and it was talked to him about the actual pronunciation. And he said, you know what, to be honest, when Courtney and I are at the house, we don't do the real pronunciation of Samhain. We just call it Samhain. And that was hilarious. So, he defined how to actually pronounce it in the literature and stuff, but then behind the scenes, they just call it what it spells like, right? All right, well, that is definitely a seasonal, and it definitely goes with the autumn type environment very well. However, it's warmth. I don't get too much of the bourbon, maybe a little to the back of the tobacco. I get a good bit of the pumpkin, but fortunately those other notes are twisting it away from being, I now smell like pumpkins, and just have that be a little accent. And I like that a good bit. So very nice. Now, I don't believe, do they have alcohol in theirs? Witch hazel, water, aloe gel, fragrance, glycerin, vitamin E. You should shake well before use, and they don't have alcohol. So this was a good one to choose to use after a shave with an aggressive razor. All right. A little bit of redness. No weepers popped up. No significant buildup in aggression. No stealth aggression that surprised me at the end. What actually surprised me about this was that the razor almost worked with me. It almost did. And if I needed to use it every day, I wonder if I could, if I would gradually modify my technique, get a little bit better at working on certain areas so that even those few patches of tenderness that I have maybe wouldn't be a problem at all. It could happen. And then, of course, we've talked about lately with the Listorto clothes comb that I have from Fatip. It's a slant, and how it is very mild. Oh no, I was mainly talking about this concept with the Wolfman, the 46 gap Wolfman that is mild, and how when you're at the end of a spectrum, think of a bell curve, either end has small amounts of sampling. Anything in the middle, and you've got a lot of leeway, lots of amounts there, lots of quantity. But on the end, it's the outliers. And so when you have a mild razor like that Wolfman WR1 46 gap, then blade choice can really matter, because a blade that is too dull could be too mild so that you don't get a good shave. Or a blade that's a little more aggressive for you, that cuts really well, now brings your shave back into a wonderful place where it's effective yet extremely comfortable. And so the blade choice can really matter in a big deal. And so the wiggle can wiggle out of your acceptable range or back in. Now, if you have a mid-range in the middle of that bell curve, if you have a mid-range razor, then that wiggle is just kind of going to keep you in the mid-range. And so blade choice isn't as important there. With the other end of the spectrum, in aggression, that wiggle could work kind of like it does over here, where you could get a blade that wiggles you out of your range of acceptability, where it's too aggressive, too rough for you, or it could wiggle back inside and step inside your area of acceptability, and where you enjoy then that aggressive shave because that blade lets it do it in a comfortable enough way. And so blade choice could matter quite a bit on with this razor, for me at least, because it is on that extreme of this could be too much for you. As I stand here right now, after a few minutes of talking with you, I do not feel any tenderness. If I move around, nope. Okay, so the aftershave product that we have was able to easily deal with that tenderness there. So if you don't mind that during a shave, then this razor could be for you. I did expect it to be more aggressive. I kind of expected it to be aggressive enough for me to not finish the shave with it and for me to go find another razor. But that didn't happen. All right. Very happy with the scent of the sandalwood, as we all know. A couple of razors that you're going to see in the future. We have along with this Stirling Stainless razor, we got a couple of Merkur Futur razors. I have tried the satin finish before, and I really enjoy the shave from it. I'm not as much for the contemporary design, which is why I sold mine when I had it last year or the year before. However, because of this great deal, it's back. We'll decide whether I keep it this time or not later. This time I have the chromed version, the polished version. I'm curious to see if it's going to be too slippery. So that's coming in the future. Because I got such a good deal on these pieces of hardware, my Feather ASD2 is back. I had this razor before, not this exact one, but I was keeping it around. It's not a cheap razor, but I was keeping it around and enjoying the shaves when I used feather blades. But because I could only use feathers with it, maybe one other blade worked well. Because I used feathers with it, I didn't think maybe it justified its use with me. But it's the only razor that I've sold that I kind of regretted selling. Because when you do put a feather in here, it is magic. It is that wonderful little realm of cuts well, but cuts super smoothly. And so I regretted it. And so now, thanks to this deal, I'll be able to sell some of these other razors, and it'll basically be like getting this for a significant deal. And so then I could conceivably justify keeping it in my stable. So that one is going to be coming out in the future. Big success with this brush. I enjoyed the knot. I enjoyed the handle. Enjoying the Samhain for sure. Let's take a look at the water usage. All right, so 4 teaspoons it looks like. 20 cc's was used up during the shave, and that was with a 40-second load. I am glad that I went back for the extra time, because this is about almost the margin that I like to have left over. I could definitely make a generous 1 pass out of this, and easily, and definitely a two pass as well. So I'm glad that I went back for more soap. Very happy with the soft jelly tips here. They did not feel like, as I rinse this here to show you, they didn't really feel like a bunch of sponges at the end of a hair bristle. I've had some gel tip brushes feel that way. I don't really like that part. But if it just feels like a tip that's just really soft, then I'm cool with that. So you can see them kind of clump together, and then I haven't rinsed all the soap out quite yet, so that's there. But I think this might be within my realm of jelly. Me being jelly about the gel. All right, so excellent shave all the way around. Surprised that the Stirling razor I was able to hang with it through the entire shave. Very cool. I am confident that the high aggressive would be way too much for me. Something also interesting, during that shave, I did not get a feeling of tenuousness with the blade. I don't think I had very much chatter and scrapey sounding audio coming from the blade. The variant and some of the others that don't support the blade very close to the edge from the bottom can vibrate in a way where you hear that in a very audible way. Some people like that, and that's fine. I don't really like that because it usually is accompanying a feeling of scrapiness that I don't enjoy. But this guy, I don't know. Is it the way they lock the blade down in other ways? Maybe. There are some razors that lock, they clamp the blade down on the edges, but then there's kind of a hollow area in between that lets the blade arc. And here, that hollow area in between doesn't seem to be very large at all. Maybe that helps with blade rigidity. Maybe that is helping to prevent that scrapey feeling as it was moving across. Because what I was feeling was not a scrapey feeling, but just the added exposure of the blade. More potential. We'll put more uses on it. So that's my perspective as a lover of mild razors. And we'll just see. I will be able to put more blades on this razor that span quite a big variety. Not only with different brands of blades, but blades at different points. I'll be able to put a 60-use feather on here and see if that makes a difference. I'll be able to put a 30-use pole silver potentially on here, and we'll see how it acts. I've often found that the more aggressive razors I do turn to when it comes time to have a blade run to the 100s, the 200s, that sort of thing. Well, I'm a happy man. The Samhain, it's lightly around me still. Face feels good. All right, well, there we go. There we go. I'm just going to clean up here. So here's this knot after use, and that has expanded really well. A very big knot because of the loft. If it was feeling maybe a little bit too floppy for me, I could just buy an O-ring, and the black color would hide very nicely and match with the upper part here, and that would restrict it a little bit, give it a little bit more backbone if I wanted to. And then you can see how the tips are a little bit on the fuzzy side. The very tips, I've dried it enough on the towel where they're not really clumping together too much, but you can tell that they're gelled because they have lost that crispiness. They don't come to that exact point anymore because the tips have absorbed that water, and so they're soft and kind of fuzzy. And so it will develop hooks as they dry. They'll hook just a little bit and get a little crispy. And that's when you really know that you have gel tips. So, very happy with the brush. It's really nice. If you have watched my channel very much, I hope that what's come across is my love for Stirling. This philosophy that they had when they started up was, here are these shaving products that you can get in the grocery store, or here are these others that are artisan or high-end, but this is soap. And he figured out a way, and he thought that he could, and he succeeded in making a high-quality shaving soap at a relatively low cost. And that's this beef tallow that we have available to us. And the scents, he's just got such a big variety of scents to choose from. To me, it's the standard of soaps. If you want to compete in the market, you need to be as good or better than Stirling, because they are doing it well, and doing it at a great price. And so, and I have seen him and his company and his wife. I've seen them interact with people with respect and character. They had a conflict where they had a Stirling scent that came out, and the Noble Otter had a similar scent. They were using the same name, and they were both inspired by the same cologne. And I can't remember who came out first and already had it established, but they just interacted together and they cooperated, and whoever was the second one, the first one allowed them to go ahead and put their product out. And then, as even though it might create some competition, that sort of thing, they just said, hey, let's put it all out there. And the second person capitulated by stepping up with their character and saying that, yeah, and I'm going to give, I believe this is true, I'm going to give the proceeds of this one to charity. And it's just a wonderful interaction, and I'm proud to call that company American made. I'm proud to be a part of using their products on a regular basis. And so when Stirling came out, I decided to come out with a razor, I was glad to hear about that. Unfortunately, Rod likes his razors very aggressive, and so unfortunately that doesn't match as well with my face. And the reason for this little bit here at the end of the video is to say that I'm a huge fan of Stirling, and I don't want anything that I've said to be a negative about the razor in general, objectively, because it's just a negative in regards of my own preferences and my own uses, my own tolerance for an aggressive razor. This is definitely a great razor for a good chunk of people out there who are looking for aggression, USA made, good quality, the fit and finish, the fit together of the pieces, very nice. And the finish, while not being at the upper high level, that's representative because the price is also not at the upper high level, and so the finish is commensurate with the price point. And so this is a great razor for some people out there. That is for certain. And so I just wanted to, in case I maybe was tilting it a certain direction because it is on the aggressive side, it's not that it's a bad razor, just maybe a one that doesn't quite match what I am generally looking for in a razor. So what we'll do, we're going to try different blades. We are going to try some of the same blades, but just at different ages. And we'll see what happens. Next time, I could even try a more normal handle angle, a more normal blade angle. I got a feeling that would be a bad idea. But I'm going to try it just to see. And then we'll see where this ends up. I could potentially save some money by just keeping the head and selling the handle, because obviously the head is going to match up with any handle out there, like Maggard's handles or Wolfman handle or any of those others. So I'm really proud of the effort, the workmanship here, the piece that Rod has brought to the world here in terms of Stirling as a stainless steel razor, and I'm really glad that he did what he did, and I think it represents his brand. It's a good one. It may not be a value razor, like his soaps are just a tremendous value, and inexpensive, relatively speaking. This is not that same caliber. However, I think it's awesome that what Rod did was he didn't make a razor to match a huge amount of people. He looked at that bell curve and he didn't try to get that big center chunk of the bell curve. You know what he did? He went for his chunk. It's a smaller chunk, but this is the kind of razor that he likes, and that's what he made. And you got to respect that. At least I think one should respect that. And then he's always going to be happy with his product. And then I think it's great for folks that like those aggressive razors, because now they have something in their camp that was made unapologetically. All right, guys. Well, this has been a good long video because I had some amazing stuff to work with. I had a razor that needed some talking, and hopefully we've given you good information about this razor. Maybe my videos with it could potentially encourage somebody who, with the other reviews and write-ups out there, may think it could be too aggressive for them. And maybe knowing that I come from a more mild-centric perspective, then it's always good to have those different perspectives coming together to help you to form your decisions, right? All right, as I have hints of the Samhain around me, it's very gentle. It's a very gentle scent, a great one to go to sleep by. And I bid you a fair adieu. I think we've covered everything. So a nice shave, and I sure hope that you guys have enjoyed learning along with me this time. Take care. Have a good night. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves.